So if you're a fan of Dan Simmons Hyperion Cantos and you're of a certain age bracket, sorry, too much dairy, chances are you will have heard rumours about a screen adaptation of the sci-fi epic which have been doing the rounds across the internets for a number of years. We've had announcements dating back to the mid-noughties about potential adaptations, but none of these seem to get off the ground. Then the baton is ultimately passed to someone else, and this also never seems to go anywhere. Now, it's not really unusual for option rights to be purchased for an adaptation that ultimately never happens, especially in science fiction of this nature, and it's also not really unusual for these option rights to be passed around like currency, so that fans end up not knowing what the frack is going on or whose potentially reckless myths are currently molesting their precious, beloved stories. So for this video I'm going to be going through everything we know about Hyperion's supposed multiple screen adaptations in a way that I'm hoping will iron out what is going on in some kind of way that we can understand. But to be honest, I wouldn't hold my breath if I were you. I certainly am not. Let's begin back in 2008 when it was announced that Scott Derrickson, an American film actor, producer and screenwriter, was set to direct the Hyperion Cantos for Warner Brothers and Graham King, with writer Trevor Sands penning the script to blend Hyperion and the Fall of Hyperion into one film. Even though the internet took a collective gasp at the prospect of both Hyperion and the Fall of Hyperion as one feature-length film, Dan Simmons on his official site at the time had this to say about it. It has been optioned by a top-notch studio, is slated to be directed by a top-name director, and already has the involvement of a top-flight movie star. Screenwriters have been attached to the project and a first draft screenplay is expected soon. According to the internet, Sands' approach, quote, wowed executives because of his selective approach to the two novels' multiple points of view in a way that managed to coherently tell the story. And that's the last we ever heard about it. On Sands' IMDb profile, however, his bio states, over the last decade, Trevor Sands has adapted some of the most acclaimed works of science fiction for the big screen, including the celebrated novels Hyperion and The Fall of Hyperion by Dan Simmons. Hold on a second. What does this mean? Is there a script out there that no one will touch because it's either too awesome for their $ eyes or simply too awful? Chances are we'll never know. Scoot 4 years into 2012 when the Hangover actor Bradley Cooper, while appearing on an episode of American talk show Charlie Rose, casually drops that he co-wrote a spec script for Hyperion. Then again, in an interview with HitFix, he said, after reading the 4 books in the series, I said, why haven't they made this into a movie? And then I did a little research and found out that Graham King had the rights. James Cameron toyed with it with Leo DiCaprio for a while, then he decided to make Avatar. So we walked into Graham King's office and pitched to him, can you let us take a crack at this? I think they were amazed that we read the whole thing and could actually talk about it intelligently. It's been a wild ride. It's been a lot of fun. Wait, what? So are we saying that in some alt universe, instead of Avatar, we have a James Cameron directed Hyperion featuring Leonardo Titanic DiCaprio that had the budget of Avatar behind it? Hold my beer, I'm switching world lines. Cooper told Rose that he might even get a chance to actually write the whole screenplay, and sometime later, when it was brought up in another interview, went on to say that he would retire from acting to direct. And that's the last we heard about the film. However, scoot a few years into 2015, we suddenly get an announcement that TV channel Sci-Fi will produce a mini-series based on the Hyperion Cantos with the involvement of both Cooper and King. Sci-Fi said Cooper, King and filmmaker Todd Phillips will executive produce the series, and it was being penned by Boardwalk Empire writer Itamar Moses. Cooper said in a statement, it's an absolute honour to enter into the world created by Dan Simmons that is arguably one of the greatest works of science fiction, and help realise it for television audiences. Sci-Fi president Dave Howe at the time added, As Sci-Fi continues to forge important partnerships with award-winning talent on and off screen, this powerhouse team led by Bradley Cooper, Graham King and Todd Phillips brings an extraordinary track record in producing entertainment of the highest creative ambition. Apparently, instead of condensing both Hyperion and the Fall of Hyperion into one story, they reportedly decided on a modest plan of sticking to just the first book. While the internet seemed a little relieved at the prospect of more screen time to get to grips with the complexity of the story, there were reservations about what sort of budget Sci-Fi would allocate. And then, nothing. So, what the frack happened? It's here that things get a little muddy and a little rumoury, because apparently author Dan Simmons took to his blog to suggest that there was, quote, a better chance of monkeys flying out of his butt than of his beloved series ever being adapted for TV. Simmons' website seems to have gone dark, however, so I can't confirm these butt-related rumours. According to the peeps over at Reddit, however, in a post which was apparently copied from Simmons' blog, the author himself wrote, all the Bradley Cooper stuff was nonsense. He said, he heard from, quote, various moles in the LA machinery that Cooper couldn't break the novel down into anything that was workable and suggested Cooper didn't put much time into his efforts either. On a Hyperion series for the Sci-Fi channel, Simmons reportedly wrote the network wanted Cooper to appear in it from time to time, which the actor apparently refused, leading to, well, nothing. Simmons then wrote, thank you Bradley for setting the entire Hyperion the movie project back a year or more. But, like I said, Simmons' blog posts seem to have gone dark, so I can't confirm the source of this for sure. As of now, the project is still officially in development hell at Sci-Fi. But, now for the big question. Do I even want an adaptation? Adapting Hyperion for screen is a tricky prospect, whether that's film or series. First, there's the fact that there are a lot of stories and perspectives to get to grips with, especially in the first book, and I honestly don't know how this could be approached in a script in a way that could successfully capture the characters and develop the complex ideas behind each. Then there's the funding side of things. Obviously, any fan will want to see it have decent backing with substantial funds to make sure that whatever the project looks like, it does the books justice. The Hyperion fanbase is fiercely protective, and I've had many conversations with people that would rather see nothing than something bad, or even something that's just passable or mediocre. And I would have to say that I'm probably in this camp too. Saying this, I think I could see it as a series that has been done really well, like the first season of Altered Carbon, which has a similarly loyal fanbase. I could even see it as an anime series if done well, like Animatrix, although I get that not everyone likes anime and it may lose some viewers and blockbuster points, not to mention revenue, because of that. So that brings everyone up to date with the production limbo that Hyperion seems to be stuck in. I've got no doubts that at some point we'll get an enthusiastic update from some actor or director or production company or channel that they're now taking on the project. And when that happens, I have no doubt I'll remain placidly skeptical. But ultimately, I think I'll just do another reread.